privilege to be the current director of this very special choir, founded 65 years ago by Douglas and Hazel Gifford, and continuing today to give students, staff, and members of the community a musical home, wonderful fellowship, and the opportunity to sing some of the most beautiful choral music ever written.
And we were feeling very much the necessity for starting something at home. So we started back in 1955, a small group of people sitting around the fireside, having supper, having soup, having some bread and cheese, sitting around the fireside and just singing for the joy of it, nothing else. And Hazel, my wife, had been out, when we'd been out in Spain before, she'd got very inspired by some Victoria, some Spanish Renaissance music, with the result that we started introducing this, and we got more and more brazen after a while, and we went as far as Edinburgh and sang there, and then we got as far as Newcastle and then sang there, and then we got as far as Oxford and Cambridge and London, and so on. We got more and more bold, as it were, and started in 1960 anyway to go as far as Spain, and then after that we went all over the place. Every other year we go abroad, every year between that we go around Britain. So that's how it started around a fireside, and very much a family atmosphere, something my wife and I could do together, which is something which we always prize and we find a great joy to do. And then it just grew from that, really. Back in the 40s and 50s, there's very little known and very little taste for it. But over the 60s, 70s and 80s, far more choirs have come out, far more choirs have sprouted out of universities and towns and things like that, so that nowadays you get a whole lot of very fine amateur singing. And of course one's got to realise that both Scotland and England, and of course Wales, are world renowned for the fineness of their amateur choirs.
I mean, the choir started after all because I couldn't get out of an evening with 3 young children, and I'd missed my Oxford and London experience of singing in choirs. So as they came out alternate Saturdays on a bus, I thought, well, poor things, they're missing their supper, and I'd better do something about it. So we had soup, and then we had homemade brown bread and cheese, and then we sang for a bit, and at the end of it we'd have a cup of tea and anything that anybody else brought along, and rushed them off to the last bus home. As the years rolled by, those more inclined to beer drinking tended to drift off to the pub, and I was left behind with the tea or coffee drinkers. Well, I got rather fed up with this, so I thought if you can't beat them, join them, and started making beer. Oh, the building adds enormously, the exhilaration that we get. I don't know about the audiences or congregations or whatever, but it's wonderful to be doing the singing, to be taking part in such uplifting music.
As far as I'm concerned, after many years, since indeed the mid-60s, I haven't missed a single tour with the Renaissance group. I can say that, in essence, the one word that describes the enterprise is charisma.
Our tours to French Benedictine monasteries in the 1990s were memorable. At Saint-Benoît-sur-Loire, at the ceremonial installation of a new abbot, we sang Parsons' Ave Maria and Duriflé's Ubi Caritas to numerous bishops, abbots, and a 2,000-strong congregation. Further south, at Encalcat Monastery in Dourgne, it was a special thrill to sing the Talis Lamentations from behind the altar at Holy Week Vespers. At La Pierre qui Vire in Burgundy, when a monk died, we were asked to sing funeral motets at the late-night vigil before his open coffin. In 1994, invited to Caen in Normandy to help celebrate the 50th anniversary of their liberation, we sang at Mont Saint-Michel and joined in a performance of Beethoven's Ninth. In 1998, the choir was the first St Andrews group to visit Loches in Touraine under the twinning agreement with St Andrews, and many toasts were proposed. Vive la France! To mark Wren Group's 40th anniversary in 1995, a reunion gathering brought together 106 present and former singers. The highlight was a concert in Holy Trinity, culminating, of course, in Talas's Spem in Alium for 40 voices. In a rush of adrenaline, we added in 2 other monster pieces, Strigio's Ecce Beatam Lucem for 10 4-part choirs, and Robert Carver's O Bone Jesu for 17 voices, including 9 parts for tenors. The massive vocal scores were cunningly sliced up and marked up. By the time of the 50th anniversary in 2005, new generations of choir members swelled our numbers to 162, and the programme, including Spem, was captured on CD. These were rare and wonderful opportunities to celebrate our choir by singing these fabulous pieces. Holy Trinity Church can rarely have resounded to quite such a gloriously massive choral sound.
There's wonderful folklore attached to some of the really ambitious overland tours that Wren Group did in Douglas Gifford's time, and I really enjoyed taking the choir to France twice when I directed, and I think anybody who's been on any kind of choir tour understands how special an experience it is, both from the point of view of making music together and socialising.